Well, here we are again, Patriots. They'll bring it to you another Fluff Tube News Flash Part 2. This is the 107 on Nino's Corner of Public Opinion. He said they made promises but lied to us. Well, welcome to the party, pal. 107, I truly love you, guy. And if he wasn't really John F. Kennedy in this writer's opinion, he should be. Every time he shows up on Nino's Corner or anywhere else for that matter, I'm glued to the front of the boob tube, or for that matter, back to the era when radios were listened to on the Friday night fight nights, having a brewski with the boys. When the game was on, everybody piped down, and the bartender turned up the volume. Love those days. You can see how old I am from that. But before we get started, I'd like to tell you guys that I do mainly medical instructions, mind, body, and physical therapy, or mind, body, and spiritual therapy instructions. I have written a couple of books. One of my books is called, I can never get this right, Heal Yourself for God's Sake. So it's available on Amazon. You can order it for now until I find a different publisher. I don't really like Amazon any more than anybody else does. And the other one is called Quantum Ascension. The first book is mainly a tabulation of a number of different experiences that I had over the course of 35 years of my own practice, putting God into the therapeutic practice and seeing the miracles that occurred. And then also sometimes the tribulations. The other one, Quantum Ascension, is basically an interactive conversation with God where I asking him, how exactly does it work? And he explained it, and I wrote it down. All right, right out of the gate, our favorite horse, the big cowboy boot himself, once started talking about all the promises these rich guys make. Promises that of this and that, lawyers promising 60, delivering 6 Cracker Jack rejects to keep the Nevada election safe. Keep the election safe again. Well, they didn't follow through with their promises. Surprised at that one. Well, all I have to say about this is welcome to the party, pal. I'm just a freaking low-rank, ass-in-the-grass private wheat health care practitioner who happened to promise God 15 years ago I would place him first, Jesus that is, into the healthcare treatment scenarios any way I could. And if I had a nickel for every time I had a rich guy, or anywhere else for that matter, step up and say they were going to help with this fight or that fight, or help me with, our offices, or help treat people for free and all of the different things that we try to do, or even promise me merely to spread the word, and then shortly after disappear, let me sit there holding myself while I moved forward on this battle or that battle, expecting the promise of help. Only be standing in front of the charging horde alone with what has now become this commonly stupid look on my face like I have right now. If I had a nickel for every one of these events, I could fund the whole freaking Nasera myself. It is so common for the people to make promises, so much more so these days than ever. Often I think they just like feeling good for the gratefulness that you seem to give them in advance. Makes them feel good, being the good guy, being the guy that's going to save the day. I guess they call this thing the savior complex. Some guys, especially rich guys, seem to play the savior a lot, especially in the eyes of women like my beautiful wife, which I'm going to send a picture with this particular, one of the best women in the world who just wants good for other people. Women in power. She spent her whole life helping others see themselves better, get in better shape, different things like that. And they come with the typical statement like, don't worry, little lady, I'm going to take care of this bully that's persecuting you. And then there's the hugs and the kisses and the tears of joy that the battle might actually have a positive outcome and we can march forward like the many lemmings with confidence. Just to have our hopes and our prayers, even our hard work of moving now in the recommended direction, be doused like a cold bucket of water tossed on those pathetic little candles. You'd think I'd learn. These guys are always coming like vultures in sheep's clothing. and a seemingly sincere want to help, real friends, buddies, pals, even family. But when the smoke clears, you find out that they're just involved really as covert plants working for the other team, like some shit-faced spy, eager to lend a helping hand until you really need them, or you don't happen to read all the fine print at double the normal charge. Then for the added bonus, they add on an extra 5 or 10% on the backside, because you should be glad that you just had the honor of having their help in the first place. You think the pirate's eye patch or the black eye in one eye would have given them away? I always love the ultimate final disclosure. That's when you're that's when you're that's when they are not flat out denying any knowledge or blaming the theft on some long gone subordinate. If you think you've been mistreated or don't like in any way what we've done, canceling your contract, overcharging you, basically bombarding you or buggering you in the old backside, then sue us. We don't care. That's what they say. It's all about that time they hang up and laugh at you. They know that we have one thing in common, and we know the truth. If you did happen to go to court, they know that they own the judge. Well, first of all, they own the lawyer. Or if they don't own your lawyer, they will definitely bribe your lawyer before the day is over. And if they don't own the lawyer, they own the judge. And if they don't own the judge, they own the politician who controls the judge. And if they don't own him, they commence the killing. That's the way the deep state works. That's why they're so freaking overconfident. So why even bother to go that route? That's their game. That's their fight. That's their ring. Their rules. But there again, didn't Jesus say himself, either you're for me or you're against me? There is no middle ground. So my question to Juan is, if I had happened to be sitting there and there he's talking about just another, ball being dropped on the 1 yard line, as it has happened so many times before, I can hardly remember the last time. But who are these limp dicks that make these promises of support, integrity, even seemingly righteous justice, just to disappear when we need them most? Such act of cowardice is nothing short of sending a band of soldiers into a hotspot with the promise of support. And when the time is most critical, they turn their backs and leave. The real heroes fall because they're seriously and almost humiliatingly left outnumbered. You want a scene from Braveheart? I heard him talking about a scene in Braveheart from these shows. How about the time when Mel is out there in the middle of the field waving the flag, and he's looking for some help from the support, and the battle is at the crucial moment. And then you get those pathetic rich landowners and their pathetic cocky smiles as they turn their horses and leave. At least in that movie, they got their asses whooped later. What has happened to the world? I always was taught my yes means yes, and my no means mo. No, not mo, no, mo. And if I promise somebody I'm going to go do something, I did it. My wife, Ann, is the same way. And that's why it's impossible for her to tell a lie or to say a negative thing about anybody, except for, I guess, these devil worshippers. She does mind saying a negative thing about them. Yet how simply God's truth has just about vanished completely from almost everyone I know. And this betrayal seems today to bring tears to her eyes more often than I would ever like to see in the past. Nothing infuriates me or saddens me more to see my wife cry because of some kind of hurt. Now, I don't claim to be any kind of godly man, and even though that I am supposed to represent God in my own home, that's what it says, it does scare the bajillious out of me of that thought sometimes. But it does rock my world much more seeing my wife tear. I can't imagine what it must do to God when he sees his children tear because of being betrayed or hurt. I love that part about Juan. I love this part about Juan. He was talking. He says, well, how do you beat the devil? Let's back up and think about that one here in just a minute. Interesting enough, in my own health care mind, body, and spiritual application of therapeutic treatments. And I call it my own, with all due respect, but it's because it's really God's. He just lets me write about it. Especially when we have already discovered that treating the causes, all the causes, including sometimes that which were discarded by the healthcare industry recently, we have the greatest chance of not only being victorious over our attacks of the present, but thwarting future ones of the enemy that might come down the line. We do this by placing our intention on the very direction in which the attack came. Then going to God for the answers or the proper procedures to use to defeat if it ever comes back. Thus turning the light on the darkness, causing the curse to flee. So basically, if we look at the physical elements of the symptoms as they manifest before or on the individual, the experiential meaning of this particular part of the body being attacked, and most importantly, the spiritual activities that they seem hell-bent on stopping these people from doing in their life. This then creates a therapeutic application that encompasses all three parts and is essential to have the greatest chance of not only defeating the attacking malevolent entity, but have that added bonus of growing stronger in the process as we become experts in the healing process of this particular attack. And can pass this information on to others, demonstrating clearly the universal fact. Been there, done that. Now, let me tell you something. When I started my practice almost 35 years ago, I was cocky as an MF. You come out of school thinking you know everything. And then right away, I was thrust into my own practice, my own clinic. And suddenly, the first person that walks through the door, I realized I didn't know jack baloney. It's because you don't learn from books. You can't learn Kung Fu from a book or watching The Matrix on TV. Okay? You got to learn it from experience, from practice, just like health. I've had hundreds of therapists who walk in the door and they don't know the difference between arthritis and a bone and a bone blister. You know, they come in and they think they know everything, and then you give them the first patient and they look like, what do I do? Oh, I need to help him with his breathing? I don't think we learned that. It's just like, no, you learn from experience. I would rather go to the old lady in the village who's lived through 100 different flu seasons and helped many, many people with multitudes of illnesses that not only did she suffer from, but others have too, before I'd ever go to some quack that's going to give me some pill so that he can tell me about something he's never experienced, seen, or felt for himself. Okay, back to the theme. A simple example of cause-based perspective we will use for today's little report. We will use the attacks of depression or the common pain associated with the anxiety reaction afflictions such as a PTSD. Without getting into the etiology of these afflictions or the particulars surrounding the common treatment of such attacks, let's just say that the most common symptom associated with depression is de-socialization, or the withdrawal from society in general. And even if this particular symptom doesn't manifest itself clearly, which it usually does, in a secondary attack scenario such as PTSD, the implementation of commonly approved and even pushed medicinal treatments procedures will often do the trick to desensitize the individual so much so that they have no choice but to desocialize. Now, what I'm talking about here is oftentimes, if they don't have the desocialization that is coupled with these kind of attacks, okay, now we're talking about depression or those kind of affiliated depression-like attacks. If they don't already have the desocialization, when they start taking the medicine, they get it, okay? So if you don't think that that's true, just talk to somebody who's taking that medicine, okay? So if we know that de-socialization is the hidden agenda of these cures within the poisons of a big pharma pseudo insurance controlled allopathic crude oil based medical system and promotes this, then we not only place the light on the true location as well as the direction of the curse inflicting us, but in one scoop know exactly the direction of the counterpunch. This is one for Nino. Necessary to knock the skinny armed little demon right out of the ring. Okay, so back to Juan's question: how do you beat the devil? Okay, he does answer the question, even though it seems like he dances around the subject, stating the need to quote scriptures, which is always a good thing, or that it actually is happening right in front of our eyes without specifically stating what. Which I still love the guy, but sometimes a little hard to kind of grasp it all because he's a lot freaking smarter than I am. I can tell you that. Well, from my own experience, you know what they say. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And why someone actually would want to skin a cat? I like cats. I have a couple myself. They're always so sweet, and if when you're sweet to them, but people seem to pick on them all the time. But yes, God gives us pretty much all we need to defeat the attacks of darkness all around us. Literally in every plane of the senses we have available to us. Basically demonstrated there's enough tools around us in all forms of the senses, whether it be the sight, sound, movement, even food and water, or the very smells in the air. He gives us all the tools we need within the reach of our senses to defeat all the afflictions that we experience or suffer from. I have actually experienced this, the smell where you could smell the demon's attacks before they come, thus alerting you to the impending attack. Kind of fun. Now back to the devil. What does he or those minions he has under his control, those demons, witches, warlocks, high priests, display as symptoms more than anything else? See, they display the symptoms. They're displaying the devil's symptoms. That's an easy one. This is an easy one. They hide. They have their secret societies, their hidden bases, their secret handshakes. They're hiding all their dirty little secrets under the covers. They're behind the closed doors, behind the masks of their evil bitch witch covens, or their little dark butt spanking little boy band, crossbone, whatever, those skull and bone, lodge member, funny hat wearing, or apron club members. If this is their main symptom, and oh, by the way, the majority of the medicines out there, including pretty much all the psychological drugs, including alcohol, all seem to do one thing in common, and that is dumb down our senses, almost making us feel like we're living under a heavy blanket or some kind of dark, numbing cave with only the smallest people to look at. Okay, Prozac, Ritalin, talk to those people, see what they feel like. Lithium. A conscious and spiritual disconnect from God. That's what occurs. And that's the purpose. Even prisons of the oldest forms use solitary confinement, locking a person up in a dark and confined room as the most rudimentary and aggressive form of long-term punishment. Throwing people into dungeons, causing them often to go insane if kept too long. Those rooms were kept black and dark for a reason. And you couldn't hear anything. They were isolated. Isolation. Funny how doctors always seem to tell parents of an afflicted child to put the child in a dark room and keep them there as if some kind of potential treatment. But what child has ever been made that feels better by this? Only worse by causing anxiety and added depression. So if the devil likes to hide as his main effect, symptom prompting, call it what you will, then exposure is the best and most effective instrument to defeat the devil, on top of Jesus Christ himself, which of course is the all top. But he created this law, so there you go. Exposure, 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 exposure. Like that little dot that goes across those old cartoons, which I'm sure 90% of the people watching this don't know what the freak I'm talking about. Turn on the light of truth everywhere and anywhere you can. Tell as many people the truths you can. Share with everybody you know. Pass them on and plead, beg them to pass them on to others. This is the death of the devil in any form. Sickness, any kind of afflictions, even out there in the realm of men. Do you want to defeat the devil? Pass on truths for others, for God's sake. But all this being said, I totally see the frustration my friend Nino has when doing these interviews. Guest after guest revealing what appears to be page after page, fact after fact, truth after truth of not only outright theft, violations of constitutional rights of every American, that is, except the puppets of Satan. They seem to get away with everything. But also evidence of pedo butt children things, child trafficking. I don't know if I can say that. Trafficking, attempted genocide on a worldwide scale, all these lies. Say nothing of treason, outright bold-faced lies, slanders, and countless atrocities perpetrated against many of the innocents for the desires of just an extremely few dark-siders, dark vaders, dark brothers. I don't call them brothers, dark lizards. Yet the day marches on, goalposts move again a couple months further down the line, another date for some future tell-all report that's coming, some all-revealing audit with that our military should have already known long ago, and for now 3/4 of a year, some last dumbass that still needs to wake up before we hit that all-revealing ceiling of awareness that must be found before anything seems to be done. Good thing we're talking about Biden and AOC, that AOC bitch here. If we were talking about the Germans or the invading Chinese, we'd all be walking around with chopsticks in our hand, or trying to make heads or tails of the ping dang ding dong language, or wearing an armband with a cross on it this time, as we slowly march in a neat and orderly military fashion towards the ovens, getting ready to jump in on our own because we just can't take it anymore. I think I agree with Nino. What the freak are we waiting for? If people haven't woke up by now, then fuck them. They're never going to. Well, enough of that. Like I said, I wanted to go ahead and bring that little article that I posted on paulorpeter.com. If you'd like to read more of my articles, minus some of the profanities, you can check them out anywhere, anytime you want. They're open, free to view. You could also contact me. My addresses are on the contact of the paulorpeter. You could like our videos, or you could maybe even become a member. I don't know how that works, but a viewer, member, contributor, whatever. And like I said, if you want to order our books, they're available on Amazon.com. Plus, you can also write me at posture.is.everything@gmail.com. Now, while we're at it, and we're talking about spiritual therapy and holding back the spirits that seem to want to torment us, I mentioned about the body and how the symptoms of the body will sometimes direct you towards the cause of the problem. People have known for centuries that our body is full of depictorial aspects of showing exactly what is going on with the body, with an attack, with a particular injury. Allopathic medicine back in the 30s, 20s, 30s, the Rockefellers decided that they were going to use one form of medicine, and that's internal medicine, blood-based medicine, and only that. All the rest were quackery. Even though Chinese medicine has been around for thousands of years, homeopathy, the likes curing likes, was developed by the Greeks and it's been around probably for 3,000 years. Other forms of medicine, osteopathy, osteopathic medicine, it's been around longer than allopathic medicine, and even chiropractic and some of the other ones that are being used, acupuncture, acupressure, herbal medicine, you name it, reflexology, Reiki. They've been around for so long, but now they've suddenly been thrown into this pot of idiocy. Ridiculous. When I went to school in Holland. I was blessed to be able to go overseas and actually study my graduate school in Holland. I actually met a girl, and that's why I went over there, but we'll talk about that some other time. But they taught reflexology, homeopathy, haptonomy, which is touch rather than massage and manipulation. A lot of these different, they touch on these things. They didn't work into them in depth. As a matter of fact, reflexology, you studied it maybe a couple of months, but at least they touched it. Okay. But what you learned was your body is full of signs that which organ might be afflicted or which emotion is tied to the injury that you are afflicted with. And all you have to do is look at it and figure it out. Mind, body, and spiritual therapy is nothing but an application of what is known about the many different studies and equating it to the Word of God and mimicking what we've seen Jesus do and trying to do the same, and then basically winging it. When you don't know, you ask. If you want to know why somebody's afflicted with something, for example, they are having such tension and migraine headaches, or Forex is shaking all the time. Like I was talking with one of my friends the other day, shaking. And I said, well, shaking kind of reminds me when you're afraid. Are you afraid of something? He goes, big old Marine, he goes, oh, I'm not afraid of anything. But then he had to think, well, wait a minute, though. It seems it gets worse when I'm worried. I'm worried for my kids. I'm worried for my grandchildren. Maybe you are afraid of something. You're afraid for them. Have you ever thought that maybe that fear is having an effect on you, on this problem? The more you worry, the more you start shaking. I never thought of that. Well, why don't we ask God, see if that makes sense? Ask him to take away that fear. At least ask him to take away that fear is effect on your body. So he looks with his attention and realizes maybe that worry is having an effect on me. So the next time he started to worry, he said, I'm not letting this have an effect on my body. It's not working. Go away. Didn't make him stop being concerned about his kids or his grandkids, but he stopped allowing the spirit to have an effect on his body. And he used his mouth. Experiential, larger than physical. Go away. I'm not playing. I'm not doing it anymore. It doesn't have an effect on me. Boom, out goes that sound. Positive. Bounces off the walls. Bathes your body with that positive, God-given, create the universe, co-creator power never goes away. Boom, comes, and his body feels that confidence, that strength. The light is on. The curse is gone. And his shaking stopped. That's how it works. That's how you defeat the devil. You turn on the light. What Juan is doing, what Nino is doing, all the other guys out there, Jacko, I like the Jacko, Kirsten, all of the big guys, Charlie, they're out there, Mel K, kicking ass and taking names. You, where are you? There you are. You got to do the same. You got to tell your friends. You got to pass on the information. You got to share the videos. You got to give them the information. Don't just bury it in a jar in your yard. And let them give it on to their neighbors next to them. And one foxhole on a time, the ammunition is passed to the next foxhole and the next foxhole till everybody is packed up with full ammo. And then they don't have a chance. Enough lights go on. You know how many friends I have right now that I've gone and seen? They were devout anti-Trumpers, but now that they see what's really going on and they hear that there was, they're even admitting there was something going on with the election. Something's fishy. Well, what do you think about that? I don't like it. Even if Trump would have won, and they admit they might not have liked that. The rights of the American people to pick, and that having been taken away by these little boy band apron wearers, are not. That's not good, and it's not going to be allowed. And when enough of them wake up, it's over. It's over. There's no place to hide. The curse flees, and nowhere left. And they're just standing there with their, little covens and their little witchy poo books and their candles and their little goat heads. And they look stupid. And the angels are laughing, cracking up. All right, my friends, I'm going to let you go. I hope that you like this video. I hope that you maybe, like I said, give a thumbs up or become a member, whatever they do. I don't know. I don't even know what they call it. Follower, co-friend, co-learner, healing. We're all learning and healing together. And you can come along and join me. Like I said, I'm going to be producing a lot of these videos. I'm throwing them out there. I'm going to teach everybody everything I know. You can read the book or not read the book. You can download the book for free. It's on my website. You can order paulorpeter. It shows you how to get to the website to find a free download if you want that. If you can't afford it, get it. I have to buy them myself, and I hand them out as many as I can. But we've been hit by the deep state. Every time we go and try to help somebody and give them something that to help them with God's word or help them with God's promise, and the deep state finds out about it, boom, I'm out. Take away the contract, take away the patient. They can't take away my life, but I'm sure they've tried. All right, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, gotta figure out to look in the right place here. So I'm looking at you. I think I am right here. So anyways, you have a great day. And until we meet again, and a big support from my big brother, my big little brother, Nino. He's doing a hell of a job, and he's working hard. He needs a little rest once in a while. He's doing a couple, 2-3 of those shows a day. And it's tough being out in the battlefield, fighting demons. When you're out there spreading truth, you are fighting demons in the spiritual realm. It's exhausting. So put on the armor of God. Make sure you do that. And once you've got it on, keep it on. And go ahead and strengthen yourself up and kick ass till we see each other again. Love you.